My name is Yuri from Mouse, and we are here with a whole new season of track guides. Week 1 of the GT Sprint series, we're starting out on Silverstone, and it's immediately a wet week. So, wet week, that means a couple cars are good. One of them is the Audi, is always good. Porsche is always a good choice, maybe the Lambo. Maybe this season, with the new Bob that we have, another couple cars can be good in the wet, but these will always be safe picks. And we got a couple new things in these track guides that we're doing here, so stay tuned for those, and you'll see that in the middle of the outboard lap that we're doing. So let's get into it. Alright, so here we are, start of the season, and we start off immediately with quite a tricky combo for the GT Sprint series. We're at Silverstone, and typical Silverstone summer, it's raining. So, quite tricky, the track conditions. It changes a lot where the lines are always how wet the track is. Unless it gets really, really wet, I think the lines that we're doing here today are the best to take. Which basically comes down to you always want to avoid the curbs. So, braking nice and easy. But as you can see, we're not going way around the apexes. We're not taking a super wide line anywhere. Just take it easy and stay off the curbs. Same for the inside here. Be careful if you clip that curb on the inside with the throttle, because you might lose traction. But we just take the racing line. Just a racing line and being careful. Same thing here. Just a racing line, stay off the curbs. Slightly wider here than the racing line works out well for me. And then we cross back over. Try to get good traction. And again, careful of that exit curb there. Now we come up the cops. Careful with the white line on the left side. Very slippery if you take that. And the same with the exit curb. Very careful with that. Tricky section on Megas or Beckett's coming up here. So we drive over the curb on the left side because we're not turning. But then you want to avoid the curb on the right side. And just keep it nice and smooth, running slightly wide there to look for the grip. And very important to stay off the curb there on the left side, because that will lose your traction almost immediately. Going up to the last sector here, we're braking nice and early. God tends to go straight here. And you come up to the last chicane, again nice and early. And just the racing line again. And from the outside, back to start finish. So here we are, start the lap. And as always on wet track guides, the braking points change a lot. The general style of driving doesn't change that much, except if it gets very, very wet. I think you want to start avoiding more apexes. If it's very, very dry, of course, you want to hit more apex depending on how dry it is. The wetter it gets, the more you want to avoid the dry line. Turn 1 here, I think in almost any wetness this applies. You want to avoid the curb on the left side and the white line. On the entry, when you tap the brake, it's going to pull your car all the way to the left side if you hit that here and hit the brakes. Then on the apex in general, you can clip it a bit, but you don't want to clip the whole dry line because the car loses too much grip. But you don't have to avoid it like we do it in the corner entry and exits on the white line and the curb on the apexes. Just make sure that when you go over it, you don't have too many inputs, like you don't suddenly go full throttle or you have to still have to turn a lot. Then on the exit, we want to avoid the white line again. Careful with the throttle here. Just take it easy. Same thing on the entry here. Make sure to open it up but avoid the white line. And then just taking it easy, slow on the inputs, very, very slowly. Same thing here, slow on the inputs. On a slow corner like turn 4, you can avoid the apex a tiny bit to get a bit better traction and avoid the dry line a bit. And then again, careful with the white line on the exit. On the apex here, I like hitting the apex a bit. But as you can see, all the way leading up to it, I'm not completely flat out, and I'm waiting until I'm over the curb to go flat out with my throttle. And that also nicely avoids the curb on the right side on the corner exit. Right, then we come to Brooklands. Again, brake close to the white line, not on the white line. And just apex quite late. You don't want the apex here already, because then you start going over the curb, and the curb is very slippery. And as I said, as long as you don't have to turn that much anymore, keep your inputs low, you can clip the curbs on the apex a bit. I like to go a bit wider here, looking for the bit more grip. And then make sure you have nice traction on the corner exit and avoid the white line again. And then same thing here, you just avoid the white line on the apex. Entry cops is very important to avoid the white line. If you brake on the white line, especially because we brake a bit harder, it's very, very easy to lock up and miss the corner. Again, miss the white line on the exit as well. We don't want to use those, so very, very slippery. And then we get to a bit of a trickier section here, where I want to use the curb on the left side, but going over the curb, especially because it's turning, will make me lose a lot of grip. So what I want to do is come over the curb here, but have very, very low inputs going into it. So if we drive all the way around it, maybe we can brake a bit harder, but the line into the next corner is also worse. So I want to drive over the curb, but come in from really, really wide and just drive over it without having too many inputs. And then the moment I'm off the curb, I start to brake. You normally want to avoid this inside curb. I hit it a tiny bit too much here. It made me go off the brakes as well, otherwise I would lock up. And then I went a bit wide on the exit. And keep it tight through here as well. Brake early again, keep it tight through here as well. Slowly build at the throttle. And then avoid the curb on the entry here. And I think this is a good section to have a look in the Delta app as well. So let's have a look at the Delta app. And we go through this section and look exactly at what inputs I'm using here. So this is going to be sector 4. So we click on sector 4. We got exactly the inputs here. And if I want to zoom in a bit on this section specifically, it's going to look like this. So on entry here, we're not doing anything over the curb. After we go off the curb, I'm braking. Off the brakes a bit, tiny bit on the brakes, and you see the brake I'm using in these corners here very, very low, and the throttle as well in between the corners very, very low. And now we're going to 100% and then very slowly building it up, and then on the exit as well, slowly building it up here and then going flat out at the end. Then we'll go back to iRacing, and then we go to the last sector. And last sector here, you want to brake on the racing line. Going inside compromises the line too much, but it's very, very easy to run wide because you're running on a dry line, which is a bit more slippery, especially this corner. So running a bit wide to avoid the apex. If it's a bit drier, you can hit the apex here. And then avoid the curb on the exit unless you're going exactly straight. Coming into the last chicane. Brake nice and early, avoid the white line again on the entry. We can hit it on the apex. Here I like to avoid the curb a bit. And then on the exit, it's very, very important to avoid this white line on the left side again. Especially important on this one. We clip the apex curb a bit. And then on the exit, I like to avoid it. But if you have your car exactly straight here, you can run over the curb as well without having to lift. And that's the lap around Silverstone. Alright, so there we go. We're all ready for week 1, ready for the new season to start. Comment below what car you want to be driving. And also what you think about having the Delta integration in the middle. It's a really nice app, I think. Works really well to show what you can do on a quick lens. So hope everyone enjoyed it and see you next week for Monza. We're going to Italy.